We are accustomed to thinking of the church as existing principally in this world. But sacred tradition recognises three states of the church's life. What we call the church militant, the church suffering, and the church triumphant. In the words of the Second Vatican Council, at the present time, some of the Lord's disciples are pilgrims on earth. Others have died and are being purified, while still others are in glory, contemplating in full light God himself triune and one, exactly as he is. All Saints' Day is dedicated to honouring those who are with God already in heaven. All Souls' Day is dedicated to praying for the eternal repose of the souls experiencing the purification of purgatory. Purgatory is a distinctively Catholic doctrine. Unfortunately, many Catholics today do not understand or appreciate the importance of purgatory because they have either received poor catechetical formation, usually not their own fault, or because they are influenced by the surrounding secular culture, which believes neither in a sense of sin nor in eternal life. Catholic worship is a good indicator of Catholic belief. It's the same principle of actions speak louder than words. If you really want to know what Catholics believe, look at the way they worship. The crisis of the doctrine of purgatory is evident in many contemporary Catholic funerals, which too often feel more like canonization ceremonies rather than a humble commendation of a sinner to God. What then is purgatory? And why is it important? Why do we have a separate day to pray for the souls, to pray for all the faithful departed, in distinction from All Saints' Day? At our death, our eternal destiny is determined in what we call the particular judgment. The Catechism explains, death puts an end to human life as the time open to either accepting or rejecting the divine grace manifested in Christ. Each man receives his eternal retribution in his immortal soul at the very moment of his death, in a particular judgment that refers his life to Christ. Either entrance into the blessedness of heaven through a purification or immediately, or immediate and everlasting damnation. Catholics believe that in order to attain eternal life, it is necessary to die in a state of grace. To be in a state of grace means that the gift of God's life dwells within us, which is itself a foretaste and a pledge of eternal life. Even so, many souls who die in a state of grace are not immediately ready to enter heaven, since only the perfectly holy can enter heaven. And many people who die in a state of grace are not yet perfectly holy. Even if we do die in a state of grace, we may still have unconfessed venial sins on our conscience, or retain an attachment to sin, or be due some temporal punishment for our sin, all of which are incompatible with eternal life. These souls are assured of eternal life, but require a final purification in order to enter eternal life. Again, the Catechism explains, all who die in God's grace and friendship, but still imperfectly purified, are in indeed assured of their salvation. But after death they undergo purification, so as to achieve the holiness necessary to enter the joy of heaven. The Church gives the name Purgatory to this final purification of the elect. Purgatory is one of God's greatest mercies, because it means that those who die in a state of grace but whose holiness is imperfect can still attain eternal life. And I think it's reasonable to assume that if there was no such thing as purgatory, basically only the Blessed Virgin Mary would be assured of eternal life. Traditional spiritual writings speak of purgatory as a place of purifying fire. St. Gregory the Great, for example, affirmed that for certain lesser faults, venial sins, we must believe that before the final judgment there is a purifying fire. Now, fire here is used as an image for the process of purification in which purgatory consists. Purgatory is beyond space and time, so there isn't literal fire there. It's a human, familiar image for the process of purification that occurs. This purification causes the soul suffering, but it is not the suffering experienced by the souls in hell. Hence, we speak of the Church suffering. The souls in hell suffer because they are eternally deprived of divine love. The souls in purgatory have been assured of attaining the perfection of divine love in heaven, but they suffer because their ability to love is being refined and perfected by God Himself. It's sort of like the suffering of one who strengthens their body by workout in the gym. One grows stronger in love by experiencing that purification, which hurts in a spiritual sense. Purgatory is the process whereby divine love fits our hearts for heaven. This causes suffering, but like the suffering of an athlete in the gym, it is a welcome suffering. Because death puts an end to human life as that time open to either accepting or rejecting divine grace, that purification of purgatory is something that happens to those souls. It's not something that they actively engage with their own will. It's something that God does to them. But precisely for that reason, it's also important for us to pray for them. Because our prayers can also have an effect upon them, even though they cannot help themselves. And so All Souls Day, which begins the month of November, whereby the Church devotes herself in a particular way to praying for all the faithful departed, on All Souls Day we pray in a particularly fervent way for all those who have died in Christ's friendship. Praying for the dead, like the doctrine of purgatory, is a hallmark of Catholic faith. And so perhaps during this next month of November, as well as other times throughout the year, we might be able to offer our Rosary or our own communion for the people known to us who have died, also for those who have no one to pray for them, for the souls in purgatory who have no one to pray for them, as well as going to visit the graves of those who we love, and caring for the graves, which is an act of corporal mercy. Eternal Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and that perpetual light shine